This man literally saw and met the devil. The man you're looking at right now is a famous US rapper called Lil Tony, and he makes bangers, but something happened to him that will leave him traumatized forever. It all started when some people paid Lil Tony to do a photo shoot on top of a mountain. So yeah, they basically paid him to go on top of a mountain with them and take some photos. Obviously Lil Tony agreed, he was basically gonna make some money and take some cool pics. Now Lil Tony went with these people in that mountain to do the photo shoot, and here he noticed something. Tony basically noticed that these people he's with are rich, and I'm not talking just rich, I mean he's a rapper, he's rich too. I'm talking rich in capital letters. All he was seeing around him in that mountain were people with luxury cars, alright? Whenever he looks, fancy cars. Oh, this is where Lil Tony decided to ask these people about their jobs. He was interested. He was like, what kind of job do you do to afford all these things? Oh, one of the people he was with basically responded, oh, we do demonic rituals. Here Lil Tony was confused, okay? He was basically like, nice one, bro. He thought he was joking. He said, nah, seriously, what kind of job? The guy responded, we do demonic rituals. You ever heard of Illuminati, all that? Yup, that's what we do. Nah, bro. No, you got this sense of humor type shit, But for real, put me on. I'm not joking. We do demonic rituals. And this is where the guy gave him a list of some really famous people who already did it. This is where Lil Tony started to realize and believe what the guy's saying. So meanwhile he's talking, he's basically trying to contact his Uber. And meanwhile trying to join his Uber, he's trying to play it cool like, no way bro, that shit is funny, damn. But he knows now that something is off, and he's trying to get out. This is where the guy he was with proposed to Lil Tony to go to some places, and obviously Lil Tony refused. And he was like, okay bro, you don't want to go there, you know what, let's take you to a restaurant. Here is where Lil Tony got a brilliant idea when he heard that they're trying to take him someplace. He was like, okay, you know what, let's pretend to go with them, let's really go with them, and once we're down, I'ma call my Uber. The problem in the first place was that Lil Tony was on top of a hill or a mountain, so he was trying to get down, and there he could find a ride easily. Oh yeah, Lil Tony ended up by accepting to go with him, but he had a plan. He was like, yeah, okay, you know what, we're going to that restaurant. So the guy he was with, he was like, okay, great, you're gonna go with somebody else. Hey, yeah, come on. So, this is when Lil Tony got in the car with somebody, okay? That car was a McLaren, by the way, and that somebody was the one driving. Lil Tony was basically in the back of the McLaren, stressed and confused as hell, but he was still keeping an eye on the road. He was focused on the road, and here's when he noticed something. The guy who's driving took a different path. Yup, the guy who's driving is not going down the hill. He's not going down, he's taking him somewhere else. This is where Lil Tony realized that if he doesn't act now, then he will go to some demonic places. So he was like, bro, the restaurant you told me about, I'm not feeling it. You know what, let's go to McDonald's. But when Lil Tony said that, it was just an excuse to not take him where he's taking him right now. He said McDonald's because McDonald's is down the hill, so he can go from there. The driver got really mad. The driver in the front started screaming, and he said, we're not going to McDonald's. Do you know how much we paid to get you here? To do the photo shoot? We're not going to McDonald's, you're going with me. Driver's reaction made Lil Tony even more confused. He was like, he was talking to himself. He was like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Lil Tony didn't know that everything is wrong, and the guy he's here with is not human. He's a demon. So this is where Lil Tony started paying more attention not only on the road, but also on the driver, and here he noticed something again. Basically noticed that the driver's face is changing. Tony himself said that the driver's face started transforming like Venom. You know how Venom does it? His smile goes up, he started having veins. Even his eyebrows were getting bigger and started getting closer, and his eyes were shrinking. I'm trying to make a face that the driver was making, but I can't, He was basically doing something like, but you see his whole face was changing. I can't do it because I'm a human being and he was a devil. Oh, back to Lil Tony. You see, when he saw the driver making these faces, basically changing his face, Lil Tony didn't want to react, okay? He was keeping it inside. I can assume that the reason why Lil Tony didn't start screaming or calling for help is because he wanted to play it smart, okay? I mean, think about it. If he starts screaming, that the guy will find out. This is why Lil Tony kept silent. He was basically keeping silent, waiting for the best opportunity, the golden chance to get out of here. After driving for a while, the driver decided to stop for some reason, okay? I think he had something to do. This is where Lil Tony saw that. He was like, Lil Tony didn't waste a single second. As soon as the driver let his guard down, Lil Tony was already running. Now, after running for a while in that hill, he came across a truck. So he begged him. He was like, please, man, I need to go down the hill. Please, I need to go to the bottom, please. The truck owner ended up by accepting, okay? He was like, okay, you know what? Get in. Just like that, they went down the hill and Lil Tony escaped the ritual. He explained that what happened to him, the story that I just told you, changed so many things in his life, even the music he listens to.